Hey everyone, my name is Lamar with MedRank Interactive. Welcome to the Healthcare Digital Marketing Podcast. I have Chris with Cobalt Analytics. Pretty excited about this episode. Chris and I met through a mutual friend, and we've got to learn a lot about each other and the different opportunities and business models and strategies that we really help the dental space with. But this episode is all about Chris. Chris, just open up and let the audience know, who you are. Give us a little background on yourself. I could spit out some stuff like, you're focused on, insurance plans and you have a profitability analysis software, but people are going to be like, Lamar, I have no idea what that means. So I would love for you to just introduce yourself, kind of give us some background. I know you're well known in the dental space. You've been to a lot of conventions and you've done a lot of speaking engagements. I think the Utah Dental Convention, you're a speaker there as well. But yeah, just open up and give us some insights on who you are, what you're all about.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me here. I have been working in the dental space for about 10 years. My father is an endodontist here in the Utah area.
Nice.
And so he just off and on, I would go up to his office and organize his files, which was super fun. I also have had plenty of root canals, which was not fun. But if you're going to have one, it's good to have a father that does them. After I got out of business school, I went back up to his office just to see if I could help in any way. And I remember looking at all these insurance fee schedules, and they're all completely different as to what they would pay for a root canal. And that didn't make much sense to me. I couldn't make sense of it. But my first question was, because I had my businessy hat on, because I had just graduated with this mindset of, well, which of these is profitable? Yeah. So if one pays $450 on a root canal and another pays $500, my question is definitely, what is the actual profit, rather than what's the revenue? So he had no idea. And he just literally said, I have absolutely no idea. And because
dentist.
very much so. And because, I mean, the market has changed over the years, and insurances, are, as far as the number of plans, the average number of plans that different dentists are now taking across the nation has increased pretty dramatically. So it's affecting almost every dentist. If a dentist can be on a fee-for-service basis, that's great. I think it's hard to do, but I'm certainly not against that. My goal would be to find out what would be the best, the most optimized profitability with insurances if they need to work with insurances. And insurances do bring in patients. They do marketing for dentists. So if you can have it be a win-win, that to me is a good way to go. If a dentist has insurances, specifically if they're directly contracted with insurances, then it becomes critical to know what the actual profit is. If you're bringing in $450 for a root canal, or $150 or $200 for a two-surface posterior filling, the key really is to know what it costs to do it. Yeah, because that's going to determine your take-home pay. So as I was looking at all these different fees, and then I looked at about 30 different fee schedules from different insurances, I thought, well, geez, we got to figure out which of these are profitable for you and how profitable. Right. And there didn't seem to be anything out there that I could see that could help do that. So I just kind of lucked out as far as seeing a niche that I could try to provide a service for. So over the years, I've developed some software to help do that, to show the profitability of insurances, to determine the profitability. I've got a patent on that, which costs a lot of money, but I hope it'll be worth it. Certainly the software, which also costs a lot of money, seems to be working really well. Yeah. And by getting a lot of information from each specific practice, starting with my dad's, I was able to determine, here's the profit from insurance A. Right. And from that, then he could make an educated financial decision as to which insurances work best for him.
Right. Now, that's awesome. So, like, how many dentists are currently using this software and this platform to be more profitable?
Right now, we're just ramping it up. So just finished getting the software up and running. Before that, it was me doing everything, and that that takes a while. So we're ramping up. I've worked in obviously in Utah a lot throughout the state of Utah, but Utah's an interesting market, and it's every market, actually, every state is a little bit different. Every region is a little bit different. But I have worked across the nation as well. I've done hundreds.
Awesome.
But from what I've seen, and a lot of the dentists I try to stay with just over the years, they can really use somebody that just basically is tracking that part of their practice.
Right.
And it seems to be something that is really critical for every practice if it's not a fee-for-service practice.
Right. Right. And so you made a lot of, or you provided a lot of great insights to, just your experiences, Cobalt Analytics, and how your goal and your passion is to really help these practices be profitable through their insurance plans. So when you think about, why it's so critical, like give us some insights on why it's so critical to find out, the net profit of insurance plans instead of like a write-off percentage.
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and it's one that comes up often. When I'm talking about the subject, that's something that I really focus on. A lot of naturally, the first thing a practice will do usually when they're evaluating insurance is they'll look at the write-off percentage. So they'll say my fee for 2740 a crown is $1,200, and the insurance will pay X amount. So the write-off percentage, I'll just throw out a number. Let's say the insurance will pay 75% of it. So my write-off percentage is 25%.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of backwards as far as how you want to look at it.
Okay.
Because if you raise your fee from 1,200 to 1 billion, your write-up percentage goes to 99.99999, but you still receive the same amount of money.
Yeah.
You still get the same amount from the insurance. And so write-up percentage does not tell you whether an insurance is profitable for you. It does not determine whether you can go on a trip or pay for something,
right,
pay back your loans. What it does determine is just what hits your bank, or what comes into your practice, not what hits your bank account. It's
right.
your cost that you have to find, and then that gives you your profit.
Awesome. Awesome. So like when a dentist is looking for, I'm sure they can decide between, different insurance providers. How do you guys, or how do you come in and help them understand, which insurance plans are the most, or providers are the most profitable and which ones are?
Yeah, the first thing that I'll do is actually discuss the write-off percentage situation, because that always comes up, and they'll evaluate and make a financial decision based on write-off percentages. And that's definitely not the best thing for them as far as profit for them. It's not going to tell them which insurances work best for them. So I'll come in, and what I usually do is try to look at about 30 insurances for their practice, even if they're not directly contracted, because they're potential payers. Let's just see what the potential is out there. And I'll collect the information. It's all information from the Office software. And then some information like a profit and loss statement. It incorporates the procedures that they do. And then from that, I can run it through the software, and I can say the profitability for insurance A is 25%, let's say. We can also determine your fee-for-service profitability. And that would be kind of, that's a great number to have. Then you can now get the relative profit based on what are your own fees? What's the profitability on your own fees? And then kind of look at the insurances from there. And you can then say, based on a number of factors, the number of patients on an insurance, companies that offer that insurance in your area. Yeah. If you're in Atlanta, for example, you're going to have Delta Airlines. If they're offering Blue Cross, definitely factor that in as far as determining whether you want to directly contract with it or not. So it's more than just the net profit of the insurance, but the net profit is where you'd want to start.
Right, right. So with your software, to really understand like which insurances are most profitable, I'm assuming there's a lot of historical insights that you have from other dental practices that when you go into a new one, that data's easier managed to be able to give them the insights that they need.
Yes. Yeah. It's it's a very complex industry. Of course, the insurances are, and that's okay. It does. I think there's some expertise that can be useful in helping them to determine a lot of different factors to basically just optimize insurances that are best for them to directly contract with. And that's the key phrase, directly contracted, because there's a lot of networks that basically have insurances underneath them sort of as an umbrella. And in that case, if you think you're directly contracted with an insurance and you're not, you may actually be paid 3 different fees. It may be your own fee if you're not in a network and you're not directly contracted with that insurance. Then you're out of network and you're paid your own fee. Now it's really good to know what your own fee net profit is, because that's what you're going to get paid there. If, however, you're not directly contracted, but you're within a network, you actually might be paid the network's fee, and they have their own fee schedule, or you might be paid that insurance's fee schedule, depending on some different factors there, which we take into account. So we can really actually digest the complexity of the situation and come in and say, here's how you can look at this holistically. Here's these factors you need to take into consideration before deciding. And that the network situation is a big one. But if you drive that by saying, here's the profitability of this network and the profitability of these insurances, which are within the network, then you can decide, here's what's actually happening with all of these choices.
Right. It sounds like what you guys do is very unique and very important. Or do you see, like, with a lot of the dental practices that you work with, like, do they have any inclination of how to use this information, or do you guys come in, you provide the information, and then really help them from an ongoing standpoint?
That's the critical question. Once you have a basic knowledge of financially what's happening with insurances in your practice, then what do you do with it? So if I just give them a big old report, and my report is pretty robust, I figure the more information, the better.
Yeah.
They can use details if they want, they're there. If they want just an overview, that is also there. The report that I provide has actually been used by dentists to help them get a loan. So it's very robust. But the key is, what do we do with this information? And so we call it an implementation guide. Okay. So here's what we found, and here's what we recommend. And we even have just a 1-page summary. We recommend, for example, adding this insurance or replacing this one with this one, or et cetera, just based on some practice dynamics as well. If you have an open chair time, maybe you're looking for one insurance that might fit well.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So we definitely want to make sure that we don't just hand you a bunch of info. In fact, I've actually told dentists, if you're going to take the report and put it in your drawer, I'm not selling it to you. I'm really invested in helping them, with my dad being a dentist. My brother's actually a dentist.
Nice.
And then I just want to make a difference here, a tangible difference, and feel like what I'm doing is actually helping people. So I've actually gotten better, to be honest. I've gotten better in making sure that it's easier to distill and to make decisions from, and then actually act on those decisions. So it's laid out so that it will say, for example, we recommend that you directly contract with insurance A. Here is who you can contact. Here is the verbiage you want to use when you reach out to that person. And we also provide an account manager, if they would like one, for a year, that will help their staff. And this is the key. The dentist wants to hand it off to the staff, and the staff can be overwhelmed. So if you can provide some help there and some guidance where every month we're going through, here are the 3 or 4 things based on our recommendations that we're going to work on and make sure they get done. And that, to me, again, that's a huge key, because the dentist wants to go do dental work.
Right.
And, you know, he doesn't necessarily want to know what's going on with insurances as long as somebody's watching it. And, in fact, I rarely talk to dentists that even know what insurances they're directly contracted with. So not only, you know, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
They want their staff to know that, and their staff is overwhelmed often doing everything else.
Right.
And so having someone come in and be able to say, here's a robust report. It's very specific to your practice. The information is real because we got it from you. This is how we came up with the recommendations, and then here's how you implement it.
That's awesome. So I'm sure out of those action items, there's probably somewhere in there about, you know, negotiating with insurances.
Yeah.
So what's your take on negotiating fees with insurance providers, and also how often, or understanding how often they do so?
Insurances will, their basic policy, I guess, often is every 2 years.
Yeah.
They will negotiate, I've seen every year at times. It's very, very practice specific. And so they're basically going to look at each practice independently with some demographic information, socioeconomics, number of dentists per provider, per patient, and different things like that.
Okay.
And then they'll make a decision, will we offer another fee schedule or not? It's partly a game, I think it's fair to say. There are a certain number of insurances that are known to negotiate, and there are others that absolutely just never do. So we definitely, in our report, if we're looking at 30 insurances, we're going to identify the ones that would be most impactful to try to negotiate with for that specific practice. And then we can give them guidance with that as well. If they would like us to negotiate, we definitely can do that as well. It often is very time consuming.
I'm sure.
And one thing they don't often know either is they can negotiate for a fee schedule before directly contracting. So if they want to add an insurance, and that's okay for the insurance, I mean, they're going to get a provider.
Right.
And so if they do negotiate and reach out and say, hey, you know, what's the best fee schedule you will offer us? We are genuinely interested. And you don't have to go and beat insurances over the head, or some of this stuff about it doesn't make any sense to me. They're going to do what they're going to do. And often you don't need to. I usually just am very polite and say, hey, you know, we're evaluating our insurances. Just be honest with them and transparent. We're evaluating your insurances. What can you do for us? Yeah. And often if to an insurance, if the business, the dental practice, which the insurances look at as a business, yeah, if that's, quote, important enough to them, they can offer a fee schedule, another fee schedule. Now, this is a critical thing. If they do offer another fee schedule, is it more profitable? It's not always more profitable. At times, it might be less profitable. Now, it actually might be more profitable for dentist A, but less for dentist B, and that can depend on the procedures that they're performing, because there's a different fee for every procedure. And you're often 45, 50 procedures that you're doing. So we'll take the new fee schedules and we'll determine the profitability of the new one. Okay. And make sure it's better. And I have definitely had situations where a dentist would have lost money if they had to sign on the dotted line. But what they did is they looked at 2740, which is the crowns or other procedures they do a lot of. Right. And they made a determination based on the write-off percentage instead of looking at the profit. And because there's so many factors, we're looking at probably 1,000 calculations to come up with the net profit of 25% or something like that. Wow. It's complex, unfortunately, but it really is. It's business, it's finance, and there's a lot of details they need to look at. So with negotiating, that is one thing that dentists want to keep in mind. A, they can negotiate with some insurances before they directly contract. B, they want to make sure that they get that they know if the new fee schedule is better or worse, where that fits into their profitability.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And that's so critical with, and a lot of these dentists, they don't have time. And to your point of having an office manager trying to figure this out, they need, someone with that skill set and knowledge and the ability to have the experience of chatting with insurance providers historically to be able to negotiate those fees for them. So Chris, let's pivot for a second. And we talked about some insurance plans, but you'll see a lot of these dentists, if they're fee for service or they're, they take insurances, they still will offer, or they want to offer in-house membership plans to have more of a economical value add to their business to help, attract and get new patients. So like, how do you, do you help with, in-house membership plans? And then like, do you help create them? Like what is to make them profitable? Or is there anything that you do in that arena?
Yes, and that actually is part of our fundamental analysis. Is we will actually go in. We have all the information, even as far as right down to the profit per procedure per insurance.
Okay.
So we've got all that information, so we can develop an office plan because we know the profit per procedure, and from that we can develop an office plan and say, here you could price it in this way. And with this pricing, it will be 38% profit. And then you can actually now compare your own membership plan to the profitability of the insurances.
Right.
And see what often happens is dentists who actually have an office plan already set up and running, they know what their price is, but they don't know what their profit is.
Profit is, yeah.
And so it's up and running, and they might very well think that my price is making me a lot of money. I've actually seen it where a dentist has priced his office plan, his membership plan, below his cost. He was losing money on his own office plan and didn't know it, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But we did come in and I said, hey, you got to be charging this to break even. So, you might want to bump it a little bit above break even and structure it in this way. And he's like, nope, that can't possibly be right. And I said, hey, here's your numbers. You gave me these numbers, and here is a result of your numbers. And he just looked at it and said, okay, yeah, change that. The cool thing for me was he looked to his staff and said, let's change it right now. Change it right now. So to me, that's the value right there.
Oh yeah.
He made a decision. So you kind of get the decision paralysis that a lot of dentists understandably can fall into, because they're intelligent and they don't have the information that they need to make a decision as far as what the pricing should be. Do I add an insurance? Do I drop an insurance? How do I negotiate? What should my price be for my office plan? I've rarely seen a dentist who said, yes, I know exactly how much it costs me to do the procedures for my office plan, so that's why I priced it this way. In fact, I've never heard that.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And, when it comes to in-house membership plans, do you guys help to set up one? Because I hear this all the time. Like, we have a dentist in Locust, and he was creating an in-house membership plan. He was like, hey, do you know anyone? And, you just don't hear about service providers that are mainly focused on in-house membership plans. But I'd just love to kind of hear how you guys would help them set that up.
Yeah, so we would actually do the pricing for them. And then basically that whole part of it, we can take care of and say, this is what we recommend. Here's how it ranks with your insurances at this price.
Yeah.
And then we actually can draft up we have some templates for letters that they could send out to patients and that type of thing. We don't actually manage it. And that is something that a lot of offices can use help with, is managing it. So once you have one and it's up and running, or at least you've got the price and you're ready to go, where do you enter it in your office software? Where do you track? How do you track it? If it's monthly, or the staff's just overwhelmed. So what can often happen is it's set up, it's ready to go, but it doesn't ever get really moving.
Yeah.
And so an office management or a membership plan management company and I talked to you about this before, can often be very good. I've mentioned, I've talked with Clear. That's
Yeah.
Kleer. I think they're very valuable. They have a valuable service. It's a legitimate thing that they're providing. They basically can manage the entire office plan
Oh,
and
wow.
take that right off the plate. We make sure that it's profitable.
Right.
They have their own software, but we're going to concentrate on the profitability. How does it fit in with their other insurances? Double checking on the profit per procedure and that type of a thing. And then a handoff to something like Clear, if a dentist needs help managing it, getting it moving, is a great idea. If you think about it, an office membership plan can be a great thing for seniors who go off of insurance, or right now, as people are losing their insurance, unfortunately.
Right.
Office plans are often priced so that they're actually very affordable for people.
Yeah,
So I think they're a very good thing. A dentist has to be very careful, though. They cannot advertise them as insurance.
right.
They have to advertise them as a membership plan.
Membership. Yeah. So shameless plug. I think obviously, you can help kind of create the in-house membership game plan and make sure it's profitable, and then Clear can manage the whole process. And then for us, we have dentists that are marketing, like you said, a in-house membership plan. And with us as a marketing agency, we focus on high-end call to actions on the website, where there's call to actions on every single page about this membership. There's a dedicated landing page about the membership and gives them valuable information, the monthly pricing up front, all the different procedures that's offered through this plan. And then even like what we've seen to perform very well is Facebook ads and Google ads, because a lot of people, especially during COVID, they've probably lost their insurance, or they're just looking for something affordable so they can still, receive the right health care. And doctors are relying on these types of services to be able to get those patients in because they want to help them, right? And I think the messaging and the branding of that membership plan is so critical in communicating that across different marketing channels such as social media, website, Google ads, Facebook ads, and so forth. What we love about Facebook ads is really the granular targeting to a specific person, right? Their income levels, where they live, if they have kids and so forth, kind of like, analysis of what you guys do, but on the front end, to be able to see, who's the right fit for this membership plan, such as seniors and people who are struggling but need that dental care. So, but that's awesome that that you guys handle that in terms of the profitability stages, and then Clear can really help manage the process. I know we kind of spoke about marketing, and this, obviously this podcast is geared towards marketing insights and all that good stuff, and I think you've provided some great insights to really help, and if there's a dentist out there listening, to help them become profitable, especially startups, right? Like they're excited, they're ready to get started, and they got it. They have to be profitable. So I love what you're speaking about here.
Lamar, I was just
go
gonna
ahead,
say, to that point. Also, if a dentist brings in an associate, they're going to do different procedures. They may take a little bit longer on certain procedures, so the cost it would go up.
Yeah.
And that means that the profitability for each insurance is going to be different.
Yeah.
Totally different. And they may also be on a different fee schedule with the insurances that negotiate. They'll probably be on a different fee schedule. So it does help to map out or project out which insurances would be best for an associate to start with, and certainly with a dentist that's starting or buying a practice or transitioning or something like that. So that's a very good point. And we have done that because they don't want to come in and add 5 insurances that lose the money and not know it.
Right.
That's not a good way to go. But because we can also identify which insurances are profitable, we can look at employers that carry each insurances and so forth, so that it's tailored towards that dentist.
Yeah.
Then what I like about what you do is you can help. Now you might know what to help the dentist with as far as marketing.
Right.
Hey, this insurance or this office plan at this price, as you mentioned. So that's why I like what you do, because I think it's very, very valuable. Having this type of information working together, I think can be very valuable for dentists.
Right. Absolutely. I agree 100%. And then just to really pivot back to that marketing conversation, So, you guys really help with, dental practices understanding their insurance profitabilities. How does that help with, by them having those insights, how does that help with marketing to new patients?
Yeah, like I said, they can hone in on, these are the insurances we're going to carry. We're going to directly contract with these guys. This is what works for us right now.
Yeah.
And so we can reach out to this patient demographic and let them know that, hey, we are on this plan. Now, the insurance does do that because the intranet of the employer's HR website will say, hey, in this zip code, this dentist is with this insurance. So they do some of that. But the dentists can do that on their own as well, and certainly with their office plan. And another thing that's happening is there's multiple dental insurances that have Medicare. And a lot of them now, actually, to their credit, are they're paying off of reimbursing from the fee schedules that are the regular PPO fee schedules.
Yeah.
And again, if you can get the fee schedule, you can determine whether that's profitable. Even Medicaid plans will have fee schedules, and you can determine if those are profitable.
Right.
And so, yes, you can definitely get granular and be able to market towards the patient base that you would like to service best.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's so critical. When I think about all the dental practices we work with, like, you have to understand, the targeted audience, especially when it comes to marketing. I think with your software having some of that data and those insights as well through the insurance plans and what that focus is to become profitable, you could then take, like you mentioned, take that information and utilize that for, some of the ad campaigns that we're running as a marketing agency to even almost retarget those customers, right? Like if you're promoting something and then, they don't take action on your website and then they go on Facebook, you can retarget that specific audience, pulling those insights from a software like yours. So that is awesome.
Well, especially if they begin to let's say they directly contract with a new insurance.
Yeah.
That's a great way to get that information out there, because the patients are not going to see them initially. It may be a while until they even know that they are carrying their insurance. Right.
You're exactly right. So I guess to conclude on this episode, if there's let's say a new dentist or even an established dentist that may, be 2 to 3 years old or 4 years practicing, or there's an acquisition a dentist is buying into, what is there what would you what's the big advice you would give them if they were listening to this episode?
I would say this, you want to concentrate on a profit-driven model rather than a revenue model. So the write-off percentage is more of a revenue model. It's what am I getting? It's actually, write-off percentage is actually more of a sales model. My service is on sale by X%. It does not tell you what you're actually taking home, and that's the key with the business. What is your profit? I listened to Howard Ferran. He was just talking about the profit per procedure and how important it is to know that. So I would say make sure that you know what your profit is for your insurances. And in fact, I would look at a whole bunch of insurances, not with the idea of let's add a whole bunch, but with the idea of let's look at all of them that are out there, and now let's get the profit and then determine which would be the most profitable for our office. Yeah. So, and if you're a fee-for-service practice, then good on you. I don't know how you're doing it, but keep doing it if you can, because that's fantastic. But even for fee-for-service dentists, we've worked with dentists who only had one PPO or two. Yeah. What I told them was, hey, this is still valuable. This is why. Are those two insurances still the best insurances for you, the most profitable for you? There may be a couple more that are even more profitable. Yeah. Or let's even just get a map for you as a plan. So if you decide at some point you do want to contract with insurance, you can look at your map and say, this is the one I want. Right. Another thing to keep in mind is insurances actually change every year. Or they can, I should say. They don't have to, but they can with companies. Companies can change the insurances they carry.
Yeah.
So if a dentist has all 30 and they line it up and they know what the profit is, and the patient comes in December and says, hey, I just switched to a different insurance. Well, you guys carry that. If the dentist doesn't at that time, he can look at his map and say, it's 25% yeah, we'll, if they need to keep that patient base,
Right.
they can go ahead and contract with that. So for dentists out there, if you are working with insurances, that is directly contracted with them, you want to know what the profit is with those insurances. And from that, take that information and let that inform your decisions as to which would be best for you. You definitely want to take in mind negotiating and do that. Do it every year. We also actually look at adjusting their own fees, their own fee for service based again off of their profit.
Yeah.
We look to see too if any of the insurances would pay them more, but only if they raise their fees to match that insurance. You got to be careful because you're going to hit your fee for service patients and whatever you raise to. But a lot of dentists are actually leaving money on the table because they don't know that one of those 30 insurances might pay more than their fee, and it makes sense to go ahead and match it.
Yeah.
So you can adjust your own fees every year, again, based on your profit, and then setting up an office plan. If I were a dentist, those are sort of the 4 things that I would focus on. Again, a profit-driven model.
Yeah, that's awesome, Chris. And again, thank you for just providing all the insights. So any dentist listening to this episode, do not try to do this yourself. Hire Chris with Cobalt Analytics. But yeah, Chris, at all seriously, thank you. It's so valuable, and I think your business will help so many practices really be profitable and grow because they all have business goals, right? They want to, like you said, open up a new location, hire another associate. There's so many things that their vision wants to take them towards, and being profitable.
A peace of mind too, because they often just don't know if it's what's happening, and that can drive them crazy, understandably. Having that peace of mind, I found, is a huge intangible part that I was a little surprised, but that's some of the feedback I've gotten, is this sort of a sigh, like, okay, I finally know what's happening.
Right. And Chris, how can if there's a dentist out there who wants to contact you, how can that dentist reach out?
Actually, they can reach out to me. I love being hands-on as long as I can here. My cell is 801-953-9777, or of course, our website is Cobalt Analytics, cobaltanalytics.net, or Chris at cobaltanalytics.net.
Awesome. And Chris will include all that information in the description. So guys, that wraps up this episode. It's Chris with Cobalt Analytics, and we're so thankful for you guys listening to this podcast episode. We will see you on the next one.
Thanks.